So Fayetteville has a bit of a reputation. Let me be honest with you. A lot of people think they already know the whole story. Crime stats, Reddit posts, TikTok videos, and you can easily assume you have this place figured out. But here's the strange part. After 35 years of living here and being a retired Fayetteville police officer for 20 years, I can tell you this, the way people talk about the city online does not match what you experience on the ground. And the disconnect is so big that a lot of you end up making decisions based on assumptions that are not really true. What's actually happening here in Fayetteville? So if you've done your research, you've read some things online. You probably heard dangerous Fayetteville, don't move there. And you probably also heard this, don't worry, you'll be fine. Neither extreme really tells you the whole story. Back when I was a detective in robbery and ag assault, one of the things that shocked me was how the real Fayetteville was compared to the rumors. Most of the scary sounding calls were not random acts of people attacking strangers. Most of the time it was drug disputes, drug dealer robbing a potential client, a client robbing a potential drug dealer, domestic disputes, and people in an area they shouldn't have been in. So sometimes there were personal disputes with somebody they knew or they had an issue with. That's why the reputation doesn't match the reality. Now, I'm not saying that people do not get robbed that are strangers at an ATM, walking out of the mall, things like that. But what I saw a lot of was people posting things on Facebook, for instance, selling a pair of Air Jordans for $100, and either the person who showed up to buy it robbed them, or the person who posted it was robbing them, or maybe a little bit of both. So Fayetteville has a population of about 209,000 people. And yes, the crime here is high. I'm not going to dispute that at all. But what most people don't realize is crime has actually dropped in the past few years. And 2025 is on track to be the lowest year in a decade. But some serious categories have come up, and that's where the confusion comes from. So here's a 2025 crime stats for this year. Overall crime is down 10 to 11%. Violent crime is down 11%. Property crime is down 11%. Unfortunately, homicide is up 68%, and I know that is a big deal, of course. We don't need murderers running around our town. Juvenile crime is up 20% also. Most crime is dropping, but some of the things that seem to be more serious are between people who know each other, or they're doing something illegal, or they shouldn't be doing, putting themselves in a bad situation, like I said earlier with the Facebook example I gave you. Now, the city of Fayetteville is projecting between 8,000 to 8,300 incidents, which is a definite solid improvement from last year, which was 9,200. Now, I'm about to share some more stats with you and just let you know I got these stats from Neighborhood Scouts, ABC News Stories, NBC News Stories, the Fayetteville Observer, which are a local newspaper, and from a website called City View. So here's the violent crime breakdown. Chance to become a victim is 1 in 114, which is 6.9 between 8.8 incidences per 1,000 people. Let's break it down some more. Homicides, 34 this year, up 68% from last year. 22 involved guns, most involved people who knew each other. 87.5% solve rate, higher than national average. And just to give you a little background, I used to work in homicide. That was the last place I worked before I retired and went back. Well, before I went back to the road for about a year, then I retired. Assaults, about 1,050, down 12%, largely domestic related. Robberies were around 200, down 15%, usually small groups or repeat offenders. And that goes right back to my Facebook story that I gave you earlier, or Instagram, where people are posting things at now to sell. Craigslist, Backpage, there's so many websites out there, but be careful. If you're selling something locally, and you're going to meet them, and you're selling it legitimately, and you're hoping someone talks to you, that's legitimate, meet them in a public place, at the mall, Walmart parking lot, wherever where there's a lot of people. So at least, it deters anybody, I would hope, from robbing you, pulling a gun out, assaulting you to get these items. And that also reverses it for the person who's trying to buy it. Make sure it's legitimate on it. Yeah, I can take a picture of anything and post it on Facebook to sell. And we look at sexual assaults and rapes, and we had around 65 And unfortunately, this is staying steady year to year, unreported nationally. And when I used to work aggravated assault and sexual assaults, we'd get a call, somebody got jumped, somebody got beat up, and we would arrive, even as a police officer. First one on scene typically. And then we find out as we start doing this investigation, it was either a domestic, it was, a rival between two people from school, that bled over from school into the neighborhood. And like I said earlier, sometimes it was a drug dispute or a drug money owed or money owed in general. Somebody let someone borrow money, they didn't pay them back in time. Not random attacks. Not saying those crimes are not, of course, not serious. They are serious. But most of the time when we got out there, they really didn't care to tell us what happened. We had to basically do a deep investigation, talk to other people to find out what happened because they just wanted to let it sweep under the rug. Next, I'm going to do the property crime breakdown. So the chance of becoming a victim of a property crime is 1 in 31 or 33. That's 30.8 to 32 incidents per 1,000 people. Larceny theft was 3,500. Most common are unlocked doors, packages, yard items. Definitely lock your doors. I know a lot of people are thinking, if I lock my doors, they can just break the window. Yes, that's true. I mean, nothing's a guarantee. I mean, if you lock your front door to your house, somebody could kick it in also. But don't make it easy for the criminals. And don't leave things out. And this is just in general, 101, crime prevention. Don't leave things out that people can steal or can see. If you go to, it's almost Christmas time, the time of this video, don't buy packages, throw them in your car, and where people can see them, plain as day, you go back in the mall and start shopping again. And a lot of things are now being delivered by Amazon, Walmart, everywhere else you can think of. So it's hard to deter that sometimes because you're at work. And I got that. There's nothing much you can do about that other than install some cameras, alarm system. I know now, I think Amazon has it to where they can open up your garage if you want them to. Give them the special code to open it up. You can just change that code every time. They'll stick it in your garage and leave. Burglary, which is breaking into a house or a shed or a garage, is around 830 incidences. Motor vehicle theft, we had around 520, which is a rise among juveniles. Unfortunately, leaving the keys in the car. Again, it's almost winter time here, time of this video. A lot of people go out and start their car, go back in the house, and you've got somebody jumping in your car, stealing your car. I think hot wiring cars, not saying it can't be done. I'm not a car person per se, but I don't think it's done as often as it used to be. Maybe obviously an older car, but these newer cars, I'd say from 2000s on up, typically don't have that feature where you can just hotwire a car, I don't believe. Definitely, if I'm wrong, somebody drop me a comment, let me know that I don't know what I'm talking about. Even though all these property crimes look high, and I'm not saying they're not high, they're down 11% from 2024. Why does crime happen? Let me go through this with you honestly. Unfortunately, crime does not just happen randomly here in Fayetteville. Obviously, poverty is one of them. 20-25% stat-wise, which is national than the state and national average. Military turnover, temporary housing, domestic disputes, and it's the stress of being in the military and moving so much. And speaking of domestic violence, about 74% of our homicides are domestic related, unfortunately. Juvenile crime is up 20%. And what could that be? Boredom, lack of structure, new opportunities. Obviously, the number one thing is we all endured it when we were kids and teenagers, was just peer pressure.
That third quarter crime report just released. We're getting our first look at these numbers, and crime overall across the city of Fayetteville is down by 10%, but crimes involving kids and teens are up more than 20%. So let's look at the numbers here. We know that assault involving kids and teens is up from 161 last year to 298 incidents of it this year. That's an 85% jump, and it's been steadily rising this year too. 74 incidents in the first quarter of 2025, 82 in the second quarter, and 104 in the third quarter, covering July, August and September of this year. That means that incidents of assault continued to rise after the youth curfew took effect. And speaking of that, we now know that officers handed out 31 citations for those who violated the youth curfew since it took effect in early July. It makes it illegal for anyone 16 and younger to be out between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the city of Fayetteville. Citations related to 29 kids overall. 3 of them were repeat offenders. Now, youth crime is down in some spots, notably breaking and entering, with 54 incidents in the first quarter, 30 in the second, and dropping down to just 13 in the third quarter. And we do have that full report released right now on our website, abc11.com. Reporting from Fayetteville, Sydney Schofield, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Drugs and guns, and unfortunately, I-95 runs right through Fayetteville, where you've got, gun runners and drug dealers from Florida, Miami, not to pick on any state, are running things up to New York, and vice versa. This one running back and forth up I-95. When I worked homicide, every case I worked as lead detective had a deeper story. Sometimes. Arguments, relationship problems, mental health struggles, drug issues, whether it be the drug dealer or the drug user, poverty, which we just hit on. Very rarely was it a random act of violence targeting a stranger. See that up close changes your entire understanding of crime. Now you know why, and not just the numbers. So next thing is, what is Fayetteville doing about it?
What are you going to do about it?
We've had school resource officers here for 20 plus years. I remember when being at my high school when I was there, but now we have even more school resource officers at high schools, middle and elementary school. And with the elementary school, not as much probably. Obviously I think what they're doing, and I could be wrong about this, I think the middle school resource officers bounce between that and the elementary school back and forth. Because let's be honest, elementary kids, I would hope, are so young they're not even thinking about things like this. You look at an average of 400 plus calls a month for a school resource officer, and hopefully with them being in the school, they can nip this in the bud right when it starts. So our juvenile crimes are up 20%. Hopefully this will deter that and stop anything from happening. They have Project Safe Neighborhoods. 78 illegal guns were seized this year, and $198,000 in crime money was confiscated. We have community micro grants. This year, $52,500 was given to youth programs and mentoring programs. Domestic violence partnerships. The Fayetteville Police Department has teamed with the Phoenix Center and has brought down domestic violence by 24% this year. Community events, safety checks. They have Coffee with a Cop, National Night Out, free home and business safety surveys. In my opinion, these programs are definitely a big benefit with helping drop crime in Fayetteville.